Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. I am stoked for today. We got Kenny Parcell in the house. Kenny, thanks for being here.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Dude, I'm pumped.
Hey, I'm a big fan of yours. So
Me and Kenny are new best friends, so I'm really excited about our relationship.
Hey, I'm old enough to be your dad. So
It's crazy. Well, a little bio on Kenny. He is a seasoned real estate leader and motivational speaker, and he's here from Orem, Utah. So born and raised in Orem. In 2023, he was the president of the National Association of REALTORS, which represented 1.5 million members across the country. He's also the owner and founder of Equity Real Estate here in Utah, and that's his real estate brokerage. And he also played football at BYU in 1994 to 1996, so super impressive. He had a full ride scholarship to BYU, which was my goal growing up, and I didn't do it, but Kenny did. He's also married and he has 4 kids, and he lives in Salem, Utah right now.
yes, sir.
So Kenny, impressive bio.
Well, my mom wrote it.
Well, dude, just getting right into things. Yeah, so you grew up in Orem, Utah. How was that? How was growing up?
It was great. My parents were blue collar, never graduated from high school, worked extremely hard. They just did multiple jobs just to try to make ends meet. And then we did a bunch of little side hustles as selling Christmas trees, selling cherries, selling frogs, selling night crawlers, whatever we could do to just try to get ahead.
Wow.
We were just always, trying to find the next side hustle.
How many kids were in your family?
I had 2 older sisters.
Cool. So it was you and 2 older sisters.
Yeah, 2 older sisters.
And how come your parents didn't graduate? They just didn't want to? Or?
Yeah, they got married when they were 16 and 18,
Really?
had a child on the way with my older sister, and they were just great, hardworking people. It was just hard to get ahead in those type of situations.
Wow. What was growing up like? So just lots of sports, working with the family.
Yeah, I can remember first grade, I was sitting down with my mom. I can tell you what shirt I was wearing, where I was sitting, the color of the couch. She just looked me in the eye and said, Kenny, you need to sit down. We need to have a conversation. I said, sure. And she goes, hey, you have obviously a skill in athletics. You have a talent. But I will tell you right now, if you are not twice as good, twice as polite, work twice as hard, and have twice as much grit as the rich kids, you will not play, because we will not be buying the uniforms and we will not be sponsoring everything. And so I just looked, she goes, I love you, but you need to know that. And so I just tried to apply that to my life. I can be twice as good. I can work twice as hard. I can, have that twice as much grit and twice as polite. And so those are all things that you can work to achieve. And so I did it.
Wow. That's such a cool lesson. And you were first grade.
First grade.
Wow. What a cool mom.
She's a great mom.
That's awesome. No, it's so true. Like if you just go outwork everyone else and have 2 times the drive, 2 times the hunger, there's no way you can't succeed. One of my favorite quotes is from The Greatest Salesman in the World. It says, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And like, if you want it bad enough, you can have it. So, okay, grew up, and then what were you thinking? Like, were you like the entrepreneurial kid, or did you have jobs in high school, junior high? Yeah,
you had to. If you wanted to pay for something or play for something, you had to earn it. So, and a lot of times, Gage, it really wasn't even about money per se. It's just you were just trying to get ahead. So, 7 years old again, I saw a little lady that moved in next door, Clarence and Nora Roundy. They had a lawn and they were walking with a cane. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go ask them to mow their lawn. And so I went over there and solicited my services. And long story short, she says, yeah, why don't we, before I contract you for the year, let's see how you do. I say, hey, can I start tomorrow? And I said, sure. And so I crisscrossed the lawn, did a great job. She came out and says, well, let me inspect your work. She goes, man, you really impressed me. She goes, come on inside. And I said, great. She goes, I'd like to hire you for all year. And I said, great. And she goes, let me give you this glass of water. And it was those old refrigerators that if you didn't put a lid on it, it tastes like Utah lake water. She goes, I'll see you all year, right? And I said, absolutely. And she goes, I know young kids like crisp bills. Let me iron what I'm going to give you. And I'm like, great. And so I was thinking $5 to $10. And she came out and she just handed me a crisp $1 bill. And I was kind of looking around like, hey, where's the joke? And she goes, and I'll see you here next week. And I remember just walking out, and I didn't, my weed eater was a extension cord, and I didn't roll it up, and I was coming there, and by the time I got to the front door, my mom must have saw something was happening. She goes, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I started to cry. She goes, "Well, tell me the story." And so I told them the story, and I said, "I'm not going back." And she said, and I have larger ears than most because my mom used to twist them, and she twisted my ear, and she said, "You told them you would, and you will, and you're going to mow it all year long for what you agreed upon, and that's $1." And she goes, "And now go close her gate." And so I went and closed her gate. And so the sad thing about this, Gage, is I didn't just mow the lawn that was first grade. I didn't mow the lawn just that year, but I mowed the entire lawn until I went on a church mission. And it's for $1. And by this time, she's like, maybe I should pay you more. I'm like, you know what? Don't even pay me at all. I just need the blessings. We'll just call it charity. And she's like, "Oh, no, I would never wrong you." And so I mowed it from the time I was 7 until I was 19 when I went on church mission. And I think that's why I went on church mission, so I could get away from mowing the lawn.
Yeah, for real.
And then the sad thing is I saw her when I got home. I saw her at my homecoming, and here she comes. And Clarence had died, and Nora's still alive. And I'm like, if she asked me, it's no. And she came up and asked me. She goes, "I need you back. And these other people are charging way too much, and I can't afford it." And in the spirit of being home from my mission, I said, "Fine." And so then I started mowing it from the time I got home from my mission until finally I got married, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. And
holy cow!
I was a college student playing football at BYU, mowing her lawn on a Saturday morning before a football game for $1. And so unfortunately, long story, I'm telling you too much of a story. So I'm sitting there getting my ankles taped. I walk in, and our All-American linebacker, Shea Meerbrook, said, "Hey, did we already play? You already have grass clippings on?" And so as we're getting our ankles taped, I'm telling him this story. By the time the game's over, I have all my teammates that have taped $1 to my locker with their address saying, "Hey, we want to hire you to mow the lawn." Anyway, long story short, but anyway, it was just a correct principle from my mother, who never graduated from high school. That's like, hey, if you tell somebody you're going to do something, it doesn't matter what you're being compensated. You said you would do it. So it's a good teaching moment.
Holy cow. That's insane.
It's a long story. I apologize.
No, that was amazing. Like, we need these Kenny stories out here. That is the craziest story I think I've ever heard. Like, you literally mowed her lawn for probably like 15 years.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, when she died, in her will, she left me the lawnmower.
That's so kind.
So, yeah. Because I used my mower for so long, and then the mower broke, and then she's like, "Here, I have one." So
wow. She left you the lawnmower.
Left me the lawnmower.
Oh my gosh. So that taught you just follow through on what you say, taught you work ethic, taught you grit, taught you perseverance, everything.
Yeah, so it was crazy. I was a 4-sport letterman in high school, and we lived on 800 West, which is the main high thoroughfare to the school. My friends would see me mowing, and I was a laughing stock that I was mowing lawns for $1. And so I'd see my friends driving down the road, and they'd roll down their window and wave $1, and then I would wave a finger back at them. But
should never let them know that you were doing it for $1.
It was horrible. So
that's crazy. So you probably didn't ask to mow other people's lawns after that experience.
Oh no, I think there's the teaching. I mean, because your people are salespeople.
Yeah.
You've got to negotiate beforehand before you commit. So
yeah.
Anyway, but once you commit to doing something, you got to own up to it.
Follow through.
Yeah.
Deliver. No, I love that. Okay, and then so that's huge. That's huge. That's cool. A really cool story. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
So what high school did you go to?
Mountain View.
You went to Mountain View. Awesome. Played Mountain View a lot. I went to Timpanogos High School in Orem.
Yeah, all the rich kids went to Timpanogos.
Yeah. So what sports did you play growing up?
I played everything, but basically baseball, football, track, and
all of it.
Basketball in the day. But in high school, I played track, wrestled, baseball.
Doing it all.
Yeah.
And football.
Yeah, and football.
And what was your dream job back in high school? Like, what did you want to do?
I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get out of my situation. I just wanted to get out of my situation. So
what do you mean?
Like when I went to college, it was never to go to the NFL. It was graduate, get out of poverty. It was just simple two goals: graduate, get out of poverty. That was it. I was the first one to ever go to college in my family, and so for me, it was important to graduate, and to just get into a situation.
Wow. So, and then you play sports in high school. That I'm sure took up so much time, especially mowing the lawn every Saturday too. What sport did you like the most, or what was your main one?
I was probably a better baseball player.
Yeah.
I should have stuck with that.
Yeah. But you got offered to play football.
Yeah, but I got offered to play baseball too, but I should have stuck with baseball.
So you were freaking good.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
the longer it's been, the better I was.
Yeah. And then, okay, so you graduate high school, and then are you immediately like, I'm going on a mission?
Yeah, no, crazy situation too. I didn't grow up in the church. So the story behind that is going into my senior year, I had a girl ask me if I wanted to go to a fireside at the Marriott Center. I didn't know what a fireside was. And she says, that's where our Mormon prophet is going to be speaking.
You picture like a big fire pit.
Yeah, I didn't know. And I said, well, do they serve food there? And they said, no. And I'm like, well, no, then I don't want to go. Why would I? And she's like, well, if you go, I'll make you some hamburgers. And I go, how many? And she goes, as many as you want. And I go, okay, deal. So then I went to the Marriott Center, and that's where President Ezra Taft Benson spoke about every worthy young man should go on a mission, and I felt something. And came back and ate a bunch of hamburgers, but then I enrolled in seminary. Going into my senior year, the first year, had a great seminary teacher that was, I never showed up. And he goes, why aren't you showing up? I'm like, because we're eating all-you-can-eat pizza at Godfather's Pizza. We had a friend that managed it, and he got a substitute and showed up one day and sat down and ate with us and then said, hey, you can't miss seminary or else I'm going to kick you out. And so I didn't. So anyway, so that was great. And
wow.
Ended up going on a church mission, which was the single most important thing. If you believe in the church or you don't, it doesn't matter. For me, it was just the single most important thing I ever did because my parents didn't want me to go,
Why didn't they want you to go? They just wanted you to help out at home?
Yeah, they did. Why? They didn't get a chance to graduate from high school. And so here's a kid that's foregoing his college opportunities to go serve for a church they didn't necessarily believe in.
I see.
So.
Wow. Where'd you serve?
Tennessee.
How was that?
It was awesome. It was great. A little less active kid that didn't know much about the gospel and was getting my lunch eaten by everybody that had been in Bible study since they were 3. And so I was up at 4 o'clock every day just studying and realized I was smart and all those things that maybe you didn't quite realize.
You're just like, I'm going to out-train everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, every companion I ever got the very first day, I'd take them on a 70-mile bike ride. In East Tennessee is really hilly, hot and humid. Not just do it until they cried.
Wait, you do that with all your companions?
Yeah.
Take
very
them
first day.
50 miles.
Or 70.
Which is legit. Like that's a workout.
It was an all day, 90-degree heat, 90% humidity, but I'd do it until they cried. And we didn't even have an appointment.
I love you.
But I'd just do it. And once they cried, I'd just look at them and say, hey, just so you know, you just had the hardest day you've ever had in your 2 years. So everything's easier from here.
Wow.
And then I'd try to buy him lunch on the way home and
make him feel better.
Yeah. So
That's the coolest thing.
So it was my little staple that I always do.
What gave you that idea?
I don't know. I just
felt like it.
Yeah, I just think if you only do easy things, your life will become hard. But if you do hard things, your life will become easy. And so I just thought, let's get the hard thing out of the way right now.
I love that. My first ever YouTube video that I ever posted was about how short-term hard leads to long-term easy. Short-term easy leads to long-term hard.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, if you can just do what's hard early, life gets easy. Yeah. But if you just do what's easy, it's just
because life is hard.
Yeah, it is. Wow, Kenny, you're incredible. So what were your big lessons that you really learned on your mission, would you say?
Big lessons is doesn't matter where you're from or who your parents are or how much money you have, that we're all the same. And so you can go out there and just learn that you can outwork people and you can better your situation by educating yourself. I mean, the big kudos to you and why I'm so impressed with you. I don't know of anybody, literally the hundreds of thousands of people I know, I don't know of anybody that's put more investment back in themselves than you.
Wow. I appreciate that, Kenny.
What's your best investment? Yourself.
It is.
But most people don't. They can go make money or they can go out and do all these things, but if you don't put in your health and your balance and everything, it's not what's it worth.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm really grateful. I had really good mentors around me growing up, like my dad. huge mentor. Taught me like, the best investment you can make is in yourself. And like, you'll be the same person you are today as you are 5 years from now, besides the people you meet and the books you read. And it was just like the lesson right out of high school that just launched everything. And then Casey Baugh, I think about, had him on my podcast. He's a legend. But he said that, same thing, like the best investment is in you. And most people don't ever make that real financial investment, but he's invested hundreds of thousands into himself, going to Harvard Business School, going to Tony Robbins events, paying masterminds, coaches. And Jimmy's another great example of investing in yourself. You know?
Jimmy's brilliant.
Dude, you freaking, like I think he paid Ed Milet $250,000 to mentor him for a year, like
I love it.
It's the coolest thing ever. And now you and I are both, we met in Jimmy's mastermind group that we're paying to invest in ourselves, So it's the awesomest thing, but I really appreciate that. Like, no, it's changed my life, and anyone listening, like, go invest in yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I've told your stories to literally hundreds of people now of, hey, I've met this young lion and this is what he's doing. And everybody's just like, step back. And anyway, it's impressive. Good for you.
Appreciate that. So Kenny, you get back from the mission, and then your football scholarship's still waiting for you, huh?
Well, actually, I originally committed to go up to the University of Utah.
So you had multiple offers all over the country.
But originally that's where I was going, and then BYU didn't give me a scholarship. So my situation, I had to go where there was money, and then while I was on my mission, then BYU came courting again.
Wow.
So the fun story, probably Gage, my most proud moment, even to this day, of all the cool things that's happened to me or I've done, my most proud moment that I think of is my junior year. As soon as the season's over, the all-state running back, I went to him, Zeke Mangum's father, actually. I went up to him and said, hey, can I have your cleats? And he's like, why do you want my cleats? And I'm like, because you're all-state. And he's like, sure. And I'm like, will you sign them? He said, sure. And I was not very smart because I didn't look at his size. I didn't tell him that I actually needed his cleats because I didn't have a pair. And so my entire senior year, I wear a size 11, but I wore the all-state running backs cleats that are size 8.5.
My gosh.
So my entire senior year, I wore size 2.5, too small of cleats. And so when I came back from my mission, my most proud moment is I got back the next day. I had to check into BYU. They're doing all the physical. I'm looking at all these players that I'm pretty intimidated by, and they're all wearing these black Nike shoes. Well, I had the most hand-me-down pair of shoes you could imagine, and I had to show up the next day to work out. So I didn't sleep much the next night. Go to my locker, open it up, and I lockered next to a guy named Evan Pilgrim, a 315-pounder that played for the Chicago Bears for about 10 years. And I opened up my locker, and there's 3 brand new pair of shoes, a pair of turf shoes, gym shoes, and a pair of cleats.
Wow.
And I just lost it. I started crying. He's like, hey, man, what's wrong? And I go, oh, nothing. He goes, no, really, what's wrong? I go, man, I've never had a new pair of shoes. He's like, no kidding? And I'm like, no, I never had it. And he goes, well, you got 3 new pair in a couple weeks. And so then I went to the training room, the equipment room, and asked Floyd, the equipment manager, I'm like, hey, did these come in a box? And he's like, yeah, new shoes come in a box. I'm like, can I have it? And he goes, why? And I go, I'm just doing a school assignment. And but really, I just wanted to go home and show my mom I got a new pair of shoes.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, going back though, before I cry, but what's special about it is I still have my high school car. And it's an old 55 Chevy. And so a couple years ago, I'm like, man, I'm going to go professionally get it all redone. And took it to the guy, and he goes, when's the last time you've been in the trunk of your car? I'm like, I don't know, 30 years ago. And he's like, it's a time capsule. He goes, come over. Went over there, opened up the trunk of my car, and there's my high school cleats that are size 8.5. And I was crying, he was crying. So now they're in my office. But
wow.
Anyway, it just kind of came full circle of, having a pair of shoes
that's amazing.
That fit. I mean, we all have shoes that fit, and we just take it for granted every day.
That's amazing. You're inspiring, Kenny. This is so fun for me to even listen to. And it's crazy that you played so well with those
Hey, can you imagine?
shoes.
So if you see a lot of pictures of me, I always had my cleats off at halftime, and I always had my cleats off at after the game.
Wow. Just because
they hurt my feet.
Make you run
I
faster.
I wish I'm sure there would have been somebody if I could have talked to somebody and say, hey, can you help me out? But it was just money was tight.
Wow. So how was playing football at BYU?
It was great. So Kalani was a former teammate.
Wow.
Some of the still dear friends that I talk to this day. It was just a good brotherhood. And
Who was coaching?
Lavelle.
What did you learn from Lavelle?
So Lavelle on the backside he watched offense on the first half, watched defense on the second half, or vice versa. Didn't say much. Then to practice at Air Force on 3, and that was it. But what I learned from Coach Edwards is this: he trusted his coaches to coach, and he had so much confidence that they did what they were supposed to. Now, what was going on behind the scenes, I have no idea, but I know he just stayed out of the way and let his coach. He trusted his coaches, and they had such a longevity. And the reason why there's such a longevity is because he let them have their free agency to do what they needed to do.
Wow. Didn't micromanage. Let them
trust your people, train your people, and then trust your people. Now, if you need to make course corrections during the week or behind closed doors, do it. But he just let people do their thing.
It's huge.
Yeah, so a pretty teaching moment.
That's awesome. So what are you studying while you're at BYU?
I was just trying to finish. I was trying to get out of there. So ended up doing sociology and business. So
Heck yeah. And then you played all through college and everything.
Didn't go all through college. Going into my midway through my sophomore year, I got mono. And it just took it out of me. I lost about 20 pounds. Wow. That was an opportunity. Then you can take what's called a medical. That's where they pay your schooling, and then you don't have to play. Which then, this could go on for trying to keep the story short.
We love the stories.
After the first year, I got married. My parents got active while I was on my mission and started paying for my mission, which then left me some money saved up. So when I got home after I got my first year, got married, had enough money to buy a house. And so from there, we got taken advantage of by the person that was helping us on the real estate side. And so
the agent
took us, we only qualified for 3 homes in the county, $64,000.
Wow.
I just thought, why, if I'm on scholarship, why rent when I can own? And she just said, hey, Kenny, you have good people skills. Talk your way into any home. If you see something you want to buy, let me know. And sure enough, there's 3 of them. So I talked my way in, came back, said, hey, I found this house on 9th West, 100 South in Orem, want to make an offer. She says, great, come up. It's for electronic forms or StockUsign. She had it all filled out. And I'm like, hey, can we offer less and ask for some closing costs? And she's like, oh, that means I got to rewrite the papers. And I'm like, well, do you mind? She's like, here, you fill out half. So she filled out half the paper. I filled out half, turned it in. And sure enough, Gage, they accepted our offer. So we were excited. But there was no seller's disclosure, no home inspection, no walkthrough, no anything.
Wow.
And so we got married, closed on our house, and went on our honeymoon. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And when we came back on Saturday, go into our new house, we're so excited. Good white refrigerators were replaced by the lime green one that didn't work. Kitchen cabinets taken, garage taken, air conditioner taken. 2-a-days start on Monday. So we call her up and say, hey, we got a problem. She goes, no, we don't have a problem. You have a problem. I didn't make very much, lose my number. And so for the first 6 months, we lived out of an ice cooler for our fridge.
She had stolen it?
Well, yeah, she just the seller or somebody took it, but we had no representation. And so I'd lived out of a cooler for the first 6 months. So I'd go into the training room at night after practice, load up a bunch of ice, cruise back home, switch it out. We didn't know anybody that could even give us a used refrigerator.
Kenny, this is crazy.
It was a crazy story.
Oh my gosh.
So once I got mono, take a medical, then the old days, if you're on scholarship, you couldn't work. But since I was on medical, I could get a job, got my real estate license, not to practice, just to get educated, wrote a paper about it in a family science class, 2,000 students. The TA's sick. The professor stumbles across my paper, and she says, hey, I stumbled across your paper. I need to sell my house. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'd like to interview you. So then I go to an appointment as a college kid to list my current professor's home. And she goes, you know what, I'm going to give you a shot. I can tell you're a hard worker. And so here I am, Gage, now selling my current professor's house. We're negotiating on an offer. And she goes, I really need that extra $5,000. Can you get it? And I looked her dead in the eye in negotiating. It's called the power of the pause. I looked her dead in the eye and said, Dr. Smith, if I get you that extra $5,000, I really need the extra credit to get an A. And she's like, you did not just say that. And I just sat there and looked at her, and she goes, you're being serious. And she goes, you go get me that extra $5,000. I'll get you your extra credit. And I said, let's shake on it. And so we shook hands, took off, came back about 30 minutes later. Only A I probably ever got at BYU.
Wow.
But then she just referred me to two professors. And then I'm just this college kid up on campus, just listing a lot of professors' homes, because I never said, they'd say, how long you been doing real estate? And I'm like, man, it seems like forever and a day. How long you been a professor? And like 10 years. And I'm like, yeah, it seems like that long for me too. So then I just take it and go with it. And then I was just really good to those professors. I was all about service, because I'd be like, hey, I'll drop this off to your office. And they're like, oh, you don't want to park up here on campus. It's too hard. And I'm like, oh no, I'm all about service. Because I never told them I was just up there anyway. And then I was just smart enough to say, hey, who do you think's going to win this weekend? And they're like, oh, hope we do. I'm like, who's your favorite player? Shay Muirbrook. I'm like, oh yeah, Shay's great. So then I'd go and see my buddy Shay and say, hey, Shay, do you mind signing this for so-and-so? And then I'd swing it by and say, hey, Shay says hello. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love you.
Wow.
So anyway, by the time I graduated, I had about 30 different job offers. And
Within real estate or what?
no, just all over. And by this time I had a pretty good business in real estate. So I just been doing it ever since. That was about 3,500 homes ago.
My gosh.
So anyway, it all just worked out.
Kenny, you're a dog. You're a lion.
I'm just lucky.
Wow. Okay. So much to unpack there. Cause like the thing is with business is this is what Tony Robbins talks about all the time. The secret in business is over deliver. Like do more for your client, your customer than anyone else is willing. And you will have raving fans. And then those raving fans will refer you to people because they know how you took care of them and how you'll take care of other people, Yeah,
you just do it for do the right things.
You do the right thing, and you do more than what's expected too, and that's what you did. Who taught you that, Kenny?
I think it goes back to, once again, my mom and my dad too. They were just hard workers. We didn't have a furnace at our house. And so we just split wood how I got to be so strong, we would just chop wood all summer long, and then we would sell it too. So you had to create enough wood to get you through the winter, but you also had to sell enough if you wanted to try to get ahead.
Wow.
And so you were just always scrapping. We sold Christmas trees from our house. I sold night crawlers. I sold cherries. I sold frogs. I'd buy and sell four-wheelers or cars and fix them up and sell them. I was just always just trying to, whatever I could do just to be hustling.
You're a workhorse. Like you could run laps around 99.999% of people.
I don't know. You just don't know any different.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. Okay. So, you get in the real estate business and you start over delivering and you hustle for your clients and you do all that you can to make it a great experience, and they start referring to you. Yeah,
they start referring, and then what I was doing from there, Gage. So we still own the first house we ever bought.
You still do today?
Yeah,
wow.
Paid it off a long time ago.
Wow.
And then from there
it has a fridge in there now, huh?
It does have a fridge, has an AC. But what we were doing there, when my friends started going into the NFL, they were buying Jeep Grand Cherokees, they were buying Cadillac Escalades, and I was just driving my Nissan Sentra, and I was just buying another property, and they were always making fun of me, and you're an idiot. But now when I see them, those Jeep Grand Cherokees and Escalades are long gone. The NFL salary's long gone.
Yeah, who's laughing now?
And my properties are paid off. And
wow. So not only did you sell real estate at a high level and then open up your own brokerage eventually, but you started investing in real estate.
Yeah, it just made sense to me. There's things that people need. They need food, they need transportation, and they need housing. And if you can get somebody in there that you can fill one of those needs, and they can pay your debt and pay it down, and you can help supplement to pay it down, that if you never kill that cow, it's always going to give you milk.
Wow. Love that. No, real estate's the funnest thing ever. And like with most investments, like stocks, for example, you only get paid, if you buy the stock low and it goes up and then you sell it high. With real estate, you make money so many different ways. You get paid when it goes up in value. You get paid on the cash flow that comes in every month. You get paid on the principal pay down. The tenants, yep. Every time you pay the mortgage from your tenant's rent, that loan's being paid down, and then you don't have to pay taxes on any of it.
Yeah, and it's real. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can see it. You're not hoping on somebody's profit and loss that may be accurate, may be inflated. Yeah. So for me, Gage, I'm not that smart a guy. It just made sense.
And you just started buying properties all in Utah?
Yeah, in Utah, but I have some in other states. It's just, for me too, it's numbers. It's a math thing. If the numbers are true and accurate, then it's true and accurate. And if they're not, they're not. And so for me, it just always made sense.
If you were going to recommend someone get in real estate, what would be a great place to start if they wanted to start investing in real estate?
Well, two different things. If you're getting in real estate or if you're just investing in real estate. If you're investing in real estate, you got to find somebody you can trust that's going to do the right thing. So the fun thing with doing a bunch with the National Realtors, I know somebody in every city. Mm-hmm. And so somebody says, hey, I'm thinking of going somewhere. I'm like, here, call so-and-so. And they're all from different companies, various male, female, nationalities, you name it. But I'm like, call this person because you know why? Because I know them personally and they're going to give you the honest opinion instead of basing it on something that somebody's just trying to charge you a commission.
Wow.
And so it's fun just to connect people with good people that are really going to take care of you.
It's huge.
100%.
Huge. I remember I had made some money doing door-to-door sales, and I knew I wanted to invest in rental properties. And luckily for me, there was Brandon Bailey, friend of mine that was working at Aptive. His sister was an agent, and not only did Brandon have a couple rental properties, but she did too, and she really knew what to look for in deals and really helped me through the process of buying my first property, because it's scary, like putting down big investment. I remember I had just made like my first 6 figures and I was about to go wire 90 grand. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like so scared, and I'm buying this freaking house, this duplex that was built in 1911. I didn't know what I was doing. But that property doubled within like 6-7 years. It was cash flowing great. And so having people in your corner, and especially an agent that can represent you well, is so important.
Yeah, 100%. I will never refer anybody to anybody that I wouldn't buy myself. So for me, it's just fun to connect the people. The real estate people are happy because they're getting a client, right? But then we're holding them to a standard of, hey, if it doesn't make sense, don't have them buy it. Mm-hmm. So
cool. And Kenny, like anyone that wants to invest in real estate, like Kenny, like go to Kenny.
Well, there's a lot of good people, but yeah, I mean, if it's, you find somebody, the first thing I'd ask somebody, if you're going to go invest in real estate and you're going to use an agent, I'd ask them, do they own rental properties? Yes. And if they don't, then I wouldn't be using them, because if they're not selling, how can they help you if they're not doing it themselves?
Yeah. If they've never managed a property, if they've never ran comps on rents, like how are they going to know what to tell you to do?
Correct.
It's like my favorite principle in the world is proximity is power.
I love the name, by the way.
The name of the podcast. And it's literally like proximity is the how to doing whatever you want in life. Like you're here and you want to get here. First thing you got to figure out is why? Why do you want to go from here to here? Do you actually want to go from here to here? And then it's like who's done it that can show you how to do it.
Correct. Why go recreate the wheel? I think your people are special people because you're young, you're busting your hump, and you're going to get ahead. But what are you going to do to get ahead and then maximize those hot summer days? And so sometimes people will get carried away, and I love the young lions, but a lot of them will go buy a depreciating asset, spend a lot of money on cars and lifestyle. But it's like in the NFL. NFL stands for not for long.
I love that.
And so it doesn't last forever. Yeah. So you got to be a wise steward of the money. And it's not how much money you make, Gage, and I know you know this, it's how much you keep.
Amen. Now, there's 2 skills in wealth. There's earning a lot of money and then the skill of making that money multiply, you know? And I was so lucky because like my dad is in finance and he owns his own financial business. And I remember after my first summer, I made 20 grand and I was looking up used Mercedes to buy and all this stuff. And I was like, Dad, like this one, I'm going to go buy this one. And it was like more than what I had made. Like I was going to go get a loan for this car. And my dad had me read The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you know, and some of these books. And I just was like, and he's like, Gage, there's only 2 ways you make money. You bust your ass or your money makes money. Or you have a business that makes you money.
Yeah, interest never sleeps. It just depends on which side of the coin you're on.
Right. And I just remember, like, since my first summer ever selling, I've invested 80% of every dollar I've ever made. And that one principle and philosophy and rule that I had for myself, like, was the best thing I could have done.
Hey, I told my team all about you about that 80% thing too. So anyway, so you were a blessing to the people I've been talking to because I've been just, hey, I got this young lion and this is what he's doing.
Dude, I love to come talk to him.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's huge. And also like, I think what I should have done more of when I was first starting out in my career is, like I said earlier, like invest more money into myself and because I think it's Jeff Mendez, but Jeff Mendez always says the best investment is real estate, but the best real estate is in between your ears. And so like you gotta go, like your number one asset is you know? So
my son that just got home from his mission, when he was out there, people would say, hey, what do you think your dad's best investment is? And he's pretty quick-witted. He goes, it's me. Because they were thinking, which fourplex, which commercial building or something. You'd say, no, it's me.
That's
anyway,
awesome.
I love it.
That's hilarious. So why, let me ask you this. Why do you recommend someone start their career in sales or not? And then why? Most
successful people that I've met are people that are in the sales business. Why? Because you're self-employed you're unemployed every day. And there's no limit to what you can do. You want to hinder somebody, you put a cap on a salesperson. Because a true salesperson will never take a salary. I've had great opportunities in my lifetime where people have offered me to come work for them for an incredible amount. And I'm like, no. And they're like, you would really turn away this salary? I'm like, absolutely. Why would I go work for a salary? I've never worked for a salary in my life. I swear, it just depends. My parents, they would take a salary job because they like the security of it. For me, a good salesman would never work for a salary. They just won't do it because they want to go eat what they kill and they want to have the sky's the limit.
Yeah, the best salespeople are the highest paid people on the planet.
Right.
But also, like the top 1% in sales make 80% of the money.
Correct. Your business is a tough business. I don't know that I could do it.
You can for sure do it, Kenny.
Door to door.
No,
I don't want to discount what you guys do. It's a mind game. It's how many rejections are into a yes. And so I love what you all are doing. And I just hope people are smart enough to not just invest in themselves, but then the money they make it count because it doesn't last forever.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people, do you think sales is for everyone?
No. I don't think sales is for everybody. I think it's a very unique skill set for sure.
For sure.
But that's why you all are so special.
Yeah, I agree. I think, here's the thing. I think anyone could be good at sales. I think some people it comes easier to at first than others, but anyone at the end of the day that wants to be good at sales can be.
Yeah, the good thing about sales though is everything you do is sales. They have me come back and speak to the BYU Business School all the time, which is fun because I can look those people in the eye and say, look, most decred allowed at BYU, and they're still letting me come back and speak.
So cool.
And I'm teasing about the decred. I don't know if that's true or not. But I just say the first rule in negotiation is what? In my opinion, it's likability. Because if you're likable, people will work harder for you on both sides. A good salesperson, the skills that they learn will help them be a better husband, spouse, wife, parent. Everything you do is sales, and it's all throughout your day if you really look at it. And how good are you? And it's not trying to pitch a product. It's asking a good question. It's asking another follow-up question, eventually helping people get what you want. and what they want. And so the skills that you guys learn it's amazing.
Wow. Why do you think most people that go into sales don't last?
I think it's hard. Sales are hard, and sometimes you got to look inward. If you're not making the sales, why aren't you making the sales? What questions are you not asking? Are you motivated? Are you disciplined? What's your mental toughness?
Yeah.
When you're a football player, it's hard to be. I believe every kid should play something. And I don't care if it's playing the band, if it's cheerleading, athletics, or what. My avenue was athletics, but I think you got to be able to be willing to sacrifice to win, and you got to be willing to sacrifice for others. And so I think sometimes salespeople, the best salespeople understand that. The people that that haven't had to sacrifice to win, if you're playing video games all day, it's easy. But a good salesperson, man, it's special, really special.
No, I agree. And my dad always said growing up, free time's the devil's time. So he always had us mowing lawns, going to every service project.
I want to meet your dad.
He's a good guy. He's a great guy. No, it was really good. He always had us in sports. We always had to work jobs and do 2-a-days. I was a lifeguard and then doing 2-a-day practices and then doing other sports. And no, it was really good.
I think too, though, Gage, for the team leaders that are out there, sometimes too we get so caught up in the numbers. I was with a really good friend of mine that's in the sales business as well, and he's a team leader, and he was talking numbers, and he was getting depressed and down on himself. I'm like, hey, whoa, pause for a second. I go, for you, it might be about the sales and number, but one of the people that are under you may have nothing to do with the number, because maybe that's not their hot button. I said, what I want you to do is go take them to breakfast and learn about them and see what their goals and passions are.
Wow.
And as soon as he pivoted that paradigm shift, their sales went out the roof. But originally, you can't just taskmaster about the sales. It's about getting to know the people and what their hot buttons were. And it's amazing where it trajected these people that were barely making it to elevate to some of the top salesmen. And it wasn't originally about the number.
Wow. Yeah, just help them create a compelling future.
Correct. But that's why sales, as good of a salesman he wasn't asking the right questions to get them to where they needed to be.
Yeah, because the biggest difference, I tell my guys this all the time, the difference between the top reps and the worst is desire, how bad you want it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll do the how consistently. You'll handle the rejection and you'll make it happen, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's true. Like, I just went to a Tony Robbins event in Florida last week, and he says, like, the first thing you got to do in life is create a compelling future for yourself. Because if you have no compelling future, something you're excited, looking forward to in the future, then today's not even worth anything. Like, you're not going to get up. You're not going to be excited to work out. You're not going to go, bust the calls or whatever to make it happen. So, like, get clear on if everything went perfectly the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, what would life look like? And then make a plan to go execute on it. So,
yeah, and sometimes your plan always it's all not just paved road and easy.
For sure.
One of the years I got invited to be on the Utah County All-Star baseball team, and I was pretty excited. I was the only person from Orem to make it, and we told the coach yes. And then I remember sitting down when the phone rang, and he's talking to my mom. Well, practice was in American Fork. I live in Orem, and practice 2 days a week. And she says, well, let me talk to Kenny and see. And she looked at me and said, hey, your father and I both work. We can't get you to practice. What do you want to do? She goes, 12 miles. And I said, okay. And so I would tuck my shirt in. I'd put a sandwich inside my thing as a little, probably, 9 to 11-year-old kid. And I took off on my BMX bike with my mitt for 12 miles. So didn't have gears, didn't have speeds. And I rode to practice. And we had a little deal worked out with my parents that after work, I would take a certain route home, because if they weren't there after practice, and then they would start following the route, and they'd pick me up. I'd throw my bike in the back of the trunk of the car, and they'd give me a ride home. But it was 12. I knew it was at least 12 miles to get to practice. And sometimes then it was 3 or 4 or 5 miles. Or if the car broke down, then I had to ride the 12 miles home.
My gosh, Kenny.
as a BMX bike. My kids won't even ride the bike, down the block. So I think sometimes you gotta, how bad, if you want it, how bad do you want it, and what are you willing to do? People say they want things, but they're not willing to get up 30 minutes earlier because they say they don't have time. I think, Gage, nothing drives me crazy when people say I don't have time. It's like, no, you have time, the same amount of time as anybody else. You just chose what you did with your time. You chose to watch Friends. You chose to sleep in. But you can never say you don't have enough time. The billionaire and the beggar have one thing in common. They have the same amount of time as what they choose to do with their time.
Wow. It's true. And strategy, it's priority.
Correct. So
one of my favorite quotes is the difference between the wealthy and the poor is how they spend their free time. And it's like, how much free time are you allowing yourself, one? And then what are you doing in your free time? Is it all entertainment or is it education?
Yeah, no, for sure. I try to do 3 things. I've told you this before.
Yeah, I love this.
I think you need to do something hard. Gage, if you're not doing something hard, you're missing the boat, because if you only do easy things, your life will become hard. But make sure you're doing something hard every day. Number 2, you need to do something fun, brings joy to your life. It's okay to do fun things. And sometimes the salespeople, they're all about doing hard. Well, no, you got to take time to sharpen the saw. And if it's hit a bucket of balls, if it's go skiing, snowboard, whatever it is, make sure you're doing something fun. And the third thing is you got to do something for somebody else. As soon as you realize this life is not about you and it's about everybody else, you will find true joy and peace. So for me, every day, I just take a little measuring stick and I've done it since high school. Did I do something hard today? Did I do something fun? Did I do something for somebody else? And if I've missed one of those 3 things, I got to hurry up and do it so I can check the box. And for whatever reason, I think God blesses me from it. So
it's the coolest thing ever. Did you read that somewhere? Did you?
No, I don't know. I came up with it when I was in high school. I don't know where it came from or
just been living it.
So I've been always doing a little mental scorecard. Okay, what's my hard? Today is fun. I'm hanging out with a buddy. Later, I'm going to go help somebody move. This morning I worked out kind of hard and did some harder thing.
Kenny, you're such a beast.
No,
you're such a great person too. Like truly, like you have such a good heart. Like it's really inspiring.
Well, and I appreciate you saying it, but it's also not, sometimes people judge their success by money or wealth or where they live. In the big scheme of things, it's none of that. My most successful people I know are the ones that you don't know how much money they have. And that's what's special. And they do amazing things when nobody's watching.
Wow. And you do that. Yeah. I even just watching you on Moab, like every day you were doing something hard, you were doing something fun, and you were helping everyone. Like, dude, we were there 2 days or 3 days, and dude, by the end when we're all doing our testimonials, you got mentioned like every time someone goes up, and I'm like, how did he create such a level of influence in 3 days? Like,
it's because I'm so much older than you guys.
Yeah, you're a beast. Like you're just have a heart of gold, and that's, dude. Right when I met you and we started talking, I'm like, I need Kenny in my life. I need to have him on the podcast. I need to share Kenny's wisdom with everybody in my world because it's incredible. So.
Oh, you're kind. You're a blessing to many.
I'm trying. No, I love that. Do something hard, do something fun, and then do something to help someone else. And Kenny, you have a 6-pack too.
Well, you can do anything with an airbrush.
Kenny, how young are you right now?
Yeah, how young? I'm almost 52.
You're 52, and he's literally shredded, guys. Like if Kenny took off his shirt right now, you guys would all be like, holy shit. Like,
you're nice.
Let me ask you this. So why would someone, I feel like what I really like about door-to-door, specifically in sales, is because it's full immersion. You know, you have a rep come home from a mission in Utah, and then they move out of state for 4 months to go sell whatever door-to-door. And I feel like, especially in pest control, like out of all the things you could sell door-to-door, alarms, solar, satellite, like you can make money selling anything, right? You could make money selling freaking Kirby vacuums, right?
Sure.
But what I really like about pest control specifically is it's really easy to sell. It's really easy to train guys. Like it's a really quick, easy 3-5 minute sell.
Sure. And
so I feel like what I love about pest control and specifically door-to-door is it's full immersion. And we only have like 10 to 20% of our reps that start quit. I feel like in real estate with agents that I've seen, like in a national level, like the guys that get their license and then are still there a year later or 2 years, it's just crazy. So why do you think that is? And I'm sure your company has a way better track record of that.
We hope so. I think it's hard. It's a low barrier of entry into real estate. You can go get your license in 2-3 months, and you don't have to have a big investment to get into it.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Everybody knows somebody in real estate. And commissions, the problem is people want to make the most amount of money and do the least amount of work. And nobody wants to pay for something they didn't get. And I think that's when you got to look inward and say, I want to be of value and be worth every penny somebody paid me. And it's not, as soon as you can go into that, you don't want to go pay expensive steak restaurant prices and get Wendy's food, because there's no value. And so you just want to be value. You got to take a good look at yourself and say, am I an asset? Am I the expert in my craft? Why would somebody choose me over somebody else? And if you don't have those value proposition, then you got to look inward, and then you got to go invest money back into yourself. And that's what, literally, Gage, I'm not just selling you, but it's so impressive that you put so much investment back into yourself to be the best. Nobody does that.
I'm trying, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think it goes back to it too. You can make the most amount of money in the world if you're 100 pounds overweight and you can't enjoy your kids or your grandkids because your knees and your back, and then you got to look inward and say, you've made all this money, but your quality of life's so poor, what's it worth? And if I told you, Gage, I'm going to give you $1 million, would you take it? And you'd say, sure. And if I'd say, okay, I'm going to give you $10 million, would you take it? And you'd say, sure. But Gage, I'm going to give you $10 million, but you won't be here tomorrow to enjoy it. You wouldn't take it.
Never.
And so people got to look at it and say, every day is a $10 million day. But you get to go spend it.
Wow. Such a good way of thinking. How grateful would you be with waking up with that type of energy, Yeah,
I think.
What kind of people would you attract with that type of energy? And that's the energy Kenny brings to the table.
You're kind.
No, that's so cool. Like, 'cause really, Warren Buffett, he's a multi-billionaire. I wouldn't trade places with him. Like, I'm 26, he's 90 something, maybe 100. And like, even talking to some of these entrepreneurs that are like at their final stage of life, would do anything to go back. And I'm just like, I need to feel so grateful, and the joy is in the journey, and who am I on the journey with? And the reason I really wanted to invest in myself so much, truly, is like, I wanted to be the best, but I really wanted to be the best for the people in my life. Like, I want, like, leaders are readers, right? Like, I can only help my people to the level I'm at. If I'm not leveling up and trying to become the best I can be, I'm going to hold everyone I work with back. I'm going to hold my family back. I'm going to hold my wife back, my siblings, my parents. And it's like the secret to living is giving. Like, it really is. And like,
but you can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have. Like, you got to go fill up your cup first before you can fill up others. And it's like the coolest thing ever. I feel like this last year I really made a shift from myself and I to growth and contribution to the people in my life. And I really tried to make the place like Mamba Marketing, my company, I tried to make it the best place for reps to come, give them the best experience, pay them the most, not just physically, mentally pay them, spiritually pay them, and then also like socially, emotionally pay them. And I feel like this last year I tried to do that at the highest level I could. And for the first time ever, my guys are making more than ever before, and they're pumped. We had 20 guys come to Tony Robbins last month.
Wow. And
I had a couple of them come to me and say, Gage, you're the single most impactful person that I have in my life, and I'm so grateful for you. And I'm just like, that's worth more than any amount of money I could ever earn,
Good for you.
Because like at the end of the day, like all that matters while we're here on this planet, in my opinion, is like who you became and who you helped.
Love it. Love it.
Wow, this has been freaking good. I want to go here too. And I think we were talking about sales and why people don't succeed and stuff. And I feel like in 2024, everything is expected to be now. I want now. Like if I buy something on Amazon, it should be here the same day, if not tomorrow. Sure. And so people get in this habit of like what they want coming immediately, but that's not how success works. That's not how a beautiful relationship works. That's not how a relationship with God works. Like some things you have to work at consistently to get, right? And I feel like in sales and so many people my age, I feel like the problem is they just want to succeed tomorrow. They want to get their license and sell 50 homes their first year. And they want that, but they'd rather watch Netflix in the evenings than read the books.
Yep.
Right?
I agree, totally agree.
And they rather, swipe on Tinder than, work out or whatever. So I feel like success, like the greatest salesman talks about, like the biggest difference. The secret to all success is good habits. Like good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door to failure. And so like what habits are going to get you to achieve your goal? And oftentimes you're not going to succeed at the level you want as fast as you want. Right?
Yeah, I think I 100% Gage. I think everything's a balance. You can't just go be a gym rat all day and not make money, because that doesn't work either. And so it's finding your balance. Even me, I mean, I could be much more fit.
Yeah.
I just don't want to change my diet.
Yeah.
I like eating whatever I want. So, finding what that balance is. But everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody wants what their parents have now. Everybody wants, like you said, the Amazon package. But there's a sacrifice in everything you do. My biggest thing I tell people is never hit the snooze button. Because if you hit the snooze button, you're losing to an alarm clock. You've already conceded your day to an alarm clock. So for me, I don't use an alarm, never have. I just know that it's time to get up. And then I'm just going to go get it. I'm not going to I'm not going to set the alarm, and I think most people do need to set an alarm, but I'm not going to hit the snooze button. Rule number one, get your butt out of bed and win the day by not hitting the snooze button. Wow.
I love that. No, it's so true. Like short-term gratification, right? It's such a big idea. Like I remember I was in 5th grade and I don't know what happened, but my mom did like a week challenge with me and the family of like not eating sugar for a week. Like they were always trying to make us do hard things. They'd make up chores for us to do, right? All the time.
I want to meet your parents.
They're good. They're incredible. I didn't like them at the time when they were putting me through the ringer, but it was the best thing they could have done for me. But my dad, after I'd gone the week or whatever, I'm like, Dad, bet me $1,000 that I can't eat sugar for a year. And he did it. He made the bet with me, and I literally went a year in 5th grade not eating sugar. And it's not like I couldn't eat ketchup or something like that, but it was like any type of dessert, sweet, anything with sugar, I couldn't eat. And I did it up in 5th grade. And I feel like it taught me so much discipline and like delaying short-term gratification for greater reward in the future, Yeah,
I love it. Good for you.
I want to talk to you about leadership. So what's like, if somebody was getting into leadership, like what's your best piece of leadership advice?
I think rule number one in leadership, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will believe in you. You've got to believe in yourself. And the second thing is, it's never about you, it's about everybody else. And the sooner you figure that out, leaders eat last. Leaders bus tables, they fill up drinks for their people, they serve their people.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it down in Moab. I was always the last to eat, and I was always grabbing somebody's plate.
You grabbed mine like 5 times. I felt embarrassed by the 5th time.
But I love it, but I don't mind it. I think it's good to serve people.
Kenny, you're amazing. And you think about like Jesus washing his disciples' feet, like that's leadership. So
yeah, I think you start to realize, I mean, I've been to Ukraine twice since the war started, and see what the Ukrainians go through. Like real war is ugly, it's messy, and it's, that's a whole nother story of topic of conversation. But you start to realize once you see really what's going on in the world, not just third world countries, but literally in Ukraine right now, So when somebody brings you your steak and it's medium well and you wanted medium, it's still a steak. It's okay that it's medium well and you wanted medium. And the sooner you start to figure that out, that everything's just okay. We're okay today. We're going to eat today. We're going to have clean water. Your kids aren't going to get shot at. There's not a drone flying over you today that has a chance of taking out you and your family. So once you put that in perspective, everything else just starts to, and you can only control what you can control. I've been slammed in the media on things that are far from even being close to being true. But I can only control what I can control. I can control my attitude. I can control how I treat people. I can control what I do. And once you start to figure that out, you can't worry about Biden or Trump or whatever's happening there. What can you control and what's important now? And I think that's how people have to get up and say, okay, what can I control today?
Yeah, just live with gratitude in your heart.
Because life isn't fair. And, why does somebody in Huntsman Cancer Primary Children's today that's 5 years old that's going to die of cancer? I mean, that's tough. Why? That's not fair, but that's what they're dealing with. And so I think the sooner you figure that out every day for your salespeople, that they can get out in Houston, Texas in 90-degree heat, 90% humidity, and it's hard, but they're still out there with the ability to go make a lot of money that day. And they have hands that work and feet, and they're not in a wheelchair, they're not blind. They have a huge ability to create wealth. That's when you'll be more successful, when you realize just how good life is.
Yeah, like every day is a gift.
Correct. It's what you do with it.
So good, Kenny. No wonder you freaking sold 3,500 hums. And
well, either that or I'm just super old. Either that or I've just been doing it a long time, which is true.
Wow. No, it's so true. Tony talks about how there's two worlds you need to master, your internal and your external. But you can't master your external. You can influence your external world, but you can master your internal world. And the better your internal world is, the better your external world's going to be. Because,
yeah, Gage, I think we're so critical of ourselves, too. People are so worried about who they see on the internet, and everything on social media is not real. And so people, I'm depressed because I have 10 pounds I'm heavy on. Nobody can see your 10 pounds. Nobody cares about your 10 pounds, but you're being so critical of yourself. Or, hey, I'm bald and Gage has a full head of hair, and woe is me because I'm bald and Gage is full of charm and has a full head of hair. I think you stop comparing yourself to everybody else and just start to work on yourself. Amen. And that's what you can control.
Amen. Casey says this all the time, like everyone's dealt a set of cards, like a hand, and your job isn't to look at other people's hand or be jealous of other people's hand. It's like play your cards the best you can. Because you don't get to choose your parents. You don't get to choose where you're born, what you look like. You don't get to choose your ethnicity, your culture, your religion at first, right? Like you're just born, but you got to do the best you can where you are with what you have.
Yeah, I love it. We went 2 years without hot water in Utah. It's a cold winter, and that's a cold shower. And sometimes I'd always try to shower somewhere at a friend's house or the Orem Rec or somewhere. But my mom would always say, "Yeah, but you have water. It's cold, but you have water." And I'll tell you, no 30-minute showers at my place. I mean, it was quick. Yeah. You're in and you're out.
Wow. No, I'm going back a little bit to your point too of people trying to do the least amount of effort of work and get the highest pay, right? I think that's the reason 99% of businesses fail, is they try to do the bare minimum to get the biggest, reward.
Yeah, and I think you got to, once again, like you said, you got to lead up to it. So I may do a bunch of what I consider a bunch of push-ups in a day. People say, I could never do that. And it's like, well, no, of course you don't, because you don't do them every day. I mean, you got to work to something. And then once you get to a certain level, you got to do more to push yourself. Yeah. Muhammad Ali, they'd say, how many sit-ups you do? And you go, I don't know. I'd only start counting when they start to hurt. So you got to kind of push yourself every day to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday, better tomorrow than you were today. I mean, that's what it is. It's about progression.
I agree. And I think too, I think at first in my career, I was all about me and myself and my money and my whatever. And it was such a wrong mindset, and it was really holding me back in business. And then I feel like getting around new mentors and learning how they do things and how they operate. And it's like, no, they don't put themselves first. Like they put other people before themselves, and they give the most they can to their people and like really just have an abundance mindset. I like tried to adopt that, and that's like been the biggest game changer. And it seems so common sense, you know, like you do more for others and you'll get more in return, you know, and you'll have more joy and more happiness in life.
Yeah, I always would tell my kids growing up that were teenagers, I'm like, take your eye off the mirror. Because if you're only looking in the mirror, you only see yourself. And the sooner you realize this life is about everybody else.
Wow. Yeah, Tony says the number one reason people suffer, if they're ever suffering, is they're thinking about themselves too much, you know? Like zoom out. Like look at the bigger world. Like nobody's looking at you closer on the picture than you, you know?
Just good stuff.
Yeah. Couple more questions, Kenny. This has been amazing, and thanks again for coming. Do you believe that proximity is power? And if so, how important has it been to you in your life?
Yeah, I think you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. You surround yourself with winners, you're going to be a winner, and you're going to be the average of the person you surround yourself with. So the people that are listening, if your friends are dogs, and you got to find better friends. My success has always been, I've been around good people, and good people that have wanted me to be at my best.
I love that. Who are some of your big mentors along the way, and why?
Ooh, great question. I have a lot of, if you could go back, I ask people all the time, I'm like, hey, if you could go back in time and have lunch with whoever, who would that be? So that's my question to you. Who would it be?
Tony Robbins.
Okay, so you'd go have lunch with Tony Robbins. Or Jesus.
Or Kenny Parcell.
Yeah, there you go. We can make that happen with Kenny Parcell. So for me, it would be like Harriet Tubman. Why? Because you know what? She freed herself, and then she risked everything to go free others. That's like,
wow,
pretty, like, I just love it. But pretty special. If you had a free day, what would you do?
Hang out with Tony Robbins.
Hang out with Tony. If you're listening, you got to take care of my boy
his
Gage.
number one fan.
So it's good.
What would you do?
If it's summertime, I'd be on my family with the boat, surfing, or on my Harley.
That's a better answer, Kenny.
If it's wintertime, I'd be in the backcountry with my buddies, living on the edge, snowmobiling.
I love that.
So, but every day is a pretty good opportunity to do something special.
Kenny, how did Kenny become Kenny? Like, oh my gosh, man, you're inspiring. Like, just good parents and just lots of hard work.
Yeah, I think good parents, luck, putting yourself in a position to win. No different than you can be the best salesman in the world, but if you don't have your company to back them up, a good company, what's it worth? You can be the best quarterback in the nation, but if you don't have a good offensive line, it doesn't matter if you don't have a good offensive coordinator calling the plays. There's a lot of preparation. People see you play on a Saturday and they think, oh my gosh, and it's like, no, you really prepared all week long. To be recognized. The heavyweight champion of the world doesn't win in the ring. He wins at 4 a.m. on the road work. He's just recognized in the ring. Amen.
You get rewarded in public for what you practice consistently in private. I heard a quote the other day that was so cool. It said, the difference between amateurs and professionals in anything is amateurs perform 4 to 10 times more than they practice. Professionals prepare 4 to 10 times more than they perform. I'm like, damn, that's good.
That's really good. Yeah, that's worth listening to the podcast right there.
Yeah, right there. I love that. No, it's true though. And I was just thinking about it the other day because I felt like, my first 20 episodes of this podcast, I didn't prepare much. I was just like, I'm good enough to just wing it, with each guest. But that's gonna be an amateur podcast. Like I gotta prepare more to make it a great podcast.
Yeah, then I don't think it's respectful for the people that you have coming on. One thing I love about Jimmy is people can look at it and say, oh, he's so skilled, this and this. I'm like, you have no idea how much time he puts in preparing to look good and to ask good questions and to be set up. And so I think it's good for you that you're investing once again to make it the very best you can be.
Well, yeah, it's not fair for the guests, and it's not fair for everyone listening. Like they're carving time out of their day with their families, their friends, or whatever, or they could be listening to music instead of this podcast, And it's like, no, like I should only do stuff that I could be great at and I'm the best at, and I need to invest real time to prepare to be great.
Yeah, if I could invest in you, I'd do it.
Started Gage Heward stock.
That's right. There's people like that. You meet people and you're like, I'd invest in you.
Dude, I'd invest in Kenny Parcell. I wish.
Well,
50 years, 20 years ago.
I'm so old. You wouldn't want to invest. I mean, my longevity has come to an end.
No, you got it 50 years more.
Yeah, my rate of return. So
I love that. What are some things you wish you would have known, if any, before you started your journey?
I think what I would know is, you think the very best of people, but there's the very worst of people, and people will, for jealousy or greed or whatever, people will try to take you out for the wrong reasons. And so I think sometimes everybody gets caught up into Gage that you chase things, or you chase fame, or your ego chases things. But sometimes you got to just take a self-reflection of really what's important and what's really important.
Wow.
What do you think is important sometimes isn't really what is important.
Yeah.
And so looking back, are your friends really your friends, or are they just friends because they want something out of you?
Yeah. No, it's huge. And I feel like I was definitely, like, I hate saying it, but beginning of my career, I was someone that, like, I was friends only with people that I think I could get something from. Like, I hate saying it, but, like, the last year, I've really tried to only get into relationships to give. Like, I only want to be friends with people that I think I could give to. And if I meet somebody that I think I could, like, take from, but I don't think I could contribute to them, I don't want the relationship, because that's just not.
Yeah, I think it's special that you figured it out at such a young age, and so I think you've nailed it. See who you can help out and give when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Help when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And then inevitably you'll find, if you want to get what you want in life, help everybody else get what they want, and inevitably you'll get what you want.
I love that. So good. Kenny, you're just full of freaking nuggets, man. What's something you've done that we should all do?
I get up early. I always tell people the most successful people I know are the ones that get up early.
How early, Kenny?
For me, or how often do I think somebody should get up?
Both.
I think you get up 30 minutes earlier. 2025, I'd tell the group, set the goal to get up 30 minutes earlier than what you're getting up.
Right now?
Right now. Me, I'm a 4 a.m.-ish guy.
What would you tell someone who wakes up at random parts of the day, or random times every day?
Like,
because they're staying up. Yeah, well, they're just waking up at 12 o'clock one day, 2 in the afternoon one day, 10 o'clock.
I'm just Gage. I'm just a creature of habit.
Yeah.
And that, right or wrong, that's just, I like to get up. I have a routine. This is, what I do. I just think for the people that are so hit and miss, if you want it, how bad do you want it? And are you willing to sacrifice playing Xbox till 2 in the morning, or PlayStation, whatever the gamers play?
Yeah.
Are you willing to sacrifice not playing until 2 a.m. because you can't get up early? There's got to be a time when you say, hey guys, and even if you don't have anything scheduled, you still have a schedule. And so sometimes people are like, well, I don't have to work today, so I can do whatever. And it's like, no, you still should be on a schedule to get up and make something happen.
Yeah, you should be still committed to your habits every
You got
day.
a six-pack.
Yeah.
So you're doing something, sit-ups, or you're deciding not to eat after a certain time, or you're sacrificing something to have what you have.
Yeah.
For me, the people are like, man, you used to have a six-pack at this age. I'm like, well, I had a six-pack since I was 8.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I have one now?
Since you were 8?
Yeah.
That's so
Because I split so much wood. I mean,
Wow.
you go split the
Yeah.
mall every day. You're gonna, but why can't you?
Yeah.
And I haven't been to the gym since college.
Wow.
So why can't you? Is there a reason why you can't? And people say, oh, it's genetics or this or that. And it's like, no, it's not genetics. My mom was 300 pounds. It's just what you choose to put in your body, or eat whatever you want. You just know you got to work it off.
Yeah. Huge. What time do you go to bed usually?
10:30, 11-ish to 11:30.
Yeah.
So
and you wake up at 4?
Yeah, it's just kind of my time. I have an internal alarm.
You're not an 8-hour guy, huh?
I think some people need it. I think sometimes you can train your body that you need a little less. And I know there's people that say, oh, you're going to have cancer, you're going to die young or whatever. My mom died when she was 47. She had Lou Gehrig's. And so, I've already outlived her. And so I think people say, how many times do you hear you only live once? You hear it all the time. Mm-hmm. I disagree. You only die once. You get to live every day.
Wow. I love that. I've never heard that before. That was a bar, Kenny.
There you
go. 3, 2, 1 pivot. What are 3 books that have impacted you the most, and why? 2 people and 1 quote.
All right, so 3 books. I love the Susie Orman, The Young, Fabulous, Rich, and Broke. Why? Because it gives you a good ballpark of a whole bunch of things: wills, trusts, irrevocable trusts, car leases, compounding interest, all that stuff. I think it's a very good book for anybody to get a good business thing. I love 25 Ways to Win with People, John Maxwell book. That's always a good, every quarter, just read through that. And third book, I'd say my book, the story of the 3-legged dog that I wrote, a little children's book. Why? Because it's up my reading level, which I brought for you today to read to your nephews or nieces. 2, what was the other 2 things? 3, 2, 1.
2 people that have impacted you the most, and why?
Gosh, there's so many. I couldn't narrow it down. I mean, I'd say probably say my mom and dad. Okay. Why? Because didn't graduate from high school. Hard workers, taught me the value of being kind, working hard, saving money. Because when you only have so much money, you only have so much money. This is always a tough time of year for me. We sold Christmas trees out of the house. And so if you can imagine, we had plastic on our windows, didn't have a furnace, and somebody knocks on your door to buy a Christmas tree, Gage. And as a young kid, anywhere from 8 to 14, your family looking at you and say, go make a sale. And the feeling of coming back and not selling, and your family looking at you and being hungry is real. Or if I sold 2 trees and I'd give my mom $20, she would immediately go to the grocery store and buy $20 worth of food. And so the pressures of a kid of trying to make that sell so your family could have dinner that night is huge. It's a big deal. So my parents, taught value of hard work, and it wasn't, hey, go sell Christmas trees and you can go get a pair of shoes. That wasn't the case. It was go sell Christmas trees so we can have dinner tonight. So anyway, number 1.
Wow, 1 quote.
Oh, 1 quote. Gosh, I should have come a little bit more prepared. There's all kinds of good quotes that I'll sling out there.
You dropped a bunch already.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that he that disciplines himself will not be disciplined by others. And so
wow.
I'd probably stick with that. You can teach yourself to be disciplined, and so nobody has to discipline you if you're going to be disciplined yourself.
Have you seen the new Gladiator 2?
Yeah, I did.
It's good.
It is really good. I loved it.
But yeah, it has that concept in there. What gets you excited in life right now?
Yeah, I'm still trying to kind of find my path a little bit. I did a bunch with the Realtors, and that's changed. And it's been fun with the Watt group, Jimmy's group, which was funny because I told my kids what I was doing. They're like, "Are you teaching the class?" I'm like, "No, I'm just like everybody else. I'm just showing up." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Which is unique because you all are so much younger. You could be my kids. That's fun. I love helping people. I do a lot of fun things that nobody will ever see, or there's no sometimes there's fingerprints from me, but there's a lot of times there's not fingerprints of me, but you know where it comes from, and it's pretty special. That's kind of the thing. I want to try to be the best version of myself that I can be. And I like to help people. Like it's what gets me up in the morning. And sometimes it's not just I've done the throwing money at things to help people, and I've unfortunately found out throwing money at things and people sometimes isn't what they need. I need to spend more time to help them, to teach them how to fish than just to give them a fish.
Amen. Because I feel like with contribution and impact, right, there's 2 different routes. Like you can give them the fish or teach them the fish. And I feel like the one that's more impactful is teaching them to fish, right? Because then they can go do it for themselves.
And it's fun to fish.
Yeah.
To teach them how to fish, and then they enjoy fishing because fishing's fun.
Working hard is fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
Gage, the most fun things I ever do with my friends or in life is when things have not been easy. That's the most enjoyable. The most memories are made when things are hard.
On the come up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. If everything's easy, those memories fade. It's when things are really hard and you got to look at somebody and, bite your lip and say, hey, we're going to make it through this. We're going to get through this.
Yeah, in the moment, probably it's not very fun. But, looking back, it's fun. Those are, the best times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you can have fun on the journey, too, in the hardest times.
Correct. I'm going to take you out backcountry snowmobiling where it's hard. It's the most physical thing. And then your life is going to be on the line because you got to get off the mountain. And you got to just like, all right, it's me against the mountain. I'm going to make it happen. I got a machine that has lots of horsepower, and I'm going to physically make it go where I want it to go.
It's crazy. What are 3 things that you've done in the past year that have improved your life the most?
3 things. I think my relationship with my team is good. I think I feel pretty good about that. I've done a bunch of stuff with the Ukrainians that is really special. I have about 10 of them that I talk to every day, and it's been fun to see what's happened there. I think my health's good. I feel strong as ever, and probably improved that a little bit. Haven't been on the road as much and kind of grind it a little bit more.
Heck yeah. Yeah, last 2 questions. On your deathbed, what do you want to be known for, or what do you hope people will say about you?
That I was generous and I gave my best.
I love that.
That I was a good friend.
And you're doing it. Doing it.
Trying.
If you had the world's attention for 2 minutes, what would you want them to know?
Everything that you read in the media is not true, and it's a mean and nasty world out there, and there's ulterior motives of people that will try to hurt you and bring you down for things that are not true.
Wow. Where can people find you, Kenny?
Call Gage.
Call Gage. Call Gage. Request a meeting with Kenny.
I do have social media, but I'm not a big. I think people get caught up in that whole social media thing. I had some of the young lions over at my house the other day, and they were talking about followers and everything. And I just paused for a second. I said, "Hey, just remember, Jesus had 12.
Yeah, 12 disciples.
And one of them betrayed him."
Wow.
And they're like, "Man, that was really good."
It's true.
So anyway, you can email me, call me. You can find me on social media, but I don't check it very often. But if there's somebody I could do to help, or I like to help with no strings attached. Yeah. So. And
your group is called Equity Real Estate Utah.
Equity Real Estate Utah.
And then what's your book called again?
Pixie, the 3-legged dog. It's a story about I just wanted to write a children's book. It's about a 3-legged dog that there was a big litter, and the little girl saved up a bunch of money, and they said, "Oh, you don't want to buy this one with 3 legs, buy the others." And she's like, "No, I'll take this one." And they're like, "Oh, that one's free." And they're like, "No, I'm going to pay you the same amount as the dogs have 4.
Wow.
Because it's not what's on the outside that matters. It's what's on the inside.
Wow. I'm so excited to read it already.
Well, it's up my reading level. So
go get it. Go get that book and follow Kenny, and go listen to any podcast that he's been a guest on, because he's the man, and he's doing great things, and he's going to continue to do great things. So thanks again, Kenny, for being on. Like, I just want to acknowledge you. Like, dude, you got a heart of gold, and you're making a difference in my life, and everyone in the walk group I know would say the same, and like, just a good dude. I love you, man.
Love you.
Peace out, guys.